Welcome to the West Parry Sound District Museum's YouTube channel. Each month, we will talk about a unique artifact from our collection and the history connected to it. Like what you see? Don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to our channel. To see more amazing videos, please donate to the West Parry Sound District Museum and check out our website at www.museumontowerhill.com.
Quill work is a significant art form in North American Indigenous cultures. It can be found adorning a variety of items, including clothing, moccasins, belts, and knife sheaths. This art form was predominantly practiced by eastern woodland tribes such as Mi'kmaq, Ottawa, and Ojibwe. It would later be largely replaced in popularity by glass beadwork. Beads made of stone, shell, and bone predate European contact, but glass beads were introduced to the First Nations of North America through European trade. The process of quill work involved painting or scratching designs onto a surface to be decorated using a bone marker. 2 holes were then made with an awl with a triangular point to allow either end of the quill to pass through the material, creating intricate patterns. When worked into leather for clothing, quills were secured in place by sewing them down with sinew. For birch bark boxes, the quills were inserted immediately after puncturing the bark. The bark would then contract around the quill, and the ends would be folded, securing the quill in place. Designs for quill work were not mere patterns, but spiritual messages provided to the women by spirits through their dreams. These patterns were considered sacred and belonged to the individual who dreamed them, making them unique and not to be copied. Both flattened and unflattened quills were used for quill boxes. Whether or not they were flattened was the artist's preference. Quills were flattened immediately before their use, and flatteners have been found at settlements, but it is unclear how widely they were used. Perhaps because they did not make the work any easier, as quills may be flattened by grasping the quill between one's teeth and tightly drawing a nail across the quill. There are 4 sizes of quills found on a porcupine. The coarsest and longest would be from the tail, and these would be used to cover large surfaces. The smallest quill from the stomach would be used for fine details, while the other 2 sizes were used for the general design of the piece. Quills were dyed to add color and create a pattern. The process included immersing them in water with a natural dyeing agent. This mixture was set to simmer over the fire until quills reached their desired color, which they would then be set out to dry. The coloring agent varied by region and what resources were available. After the design is complete, it is often coated with any oil on hand to preserve the color and shape. Many of the quill work and basket pieces in the museum's collection were purchased or collected by donors from local artists from Wissahickon, formerly Parry Island, and Shawniga First Nations, as well as some from Manitoulin Island. The small quill box is adorned with an orange maple leaf and a green stem design on the lid. The box's frame was made using birch bark, and around the edges is sweetgrass that has been stitched on using black thread. The bottom reads, Rose Rice, Parry Island, 1984. A note inside the quill box reads, Now this is your gift. It is what you requested, one for you and one for Dave. Finally got Rose to get it together. Seems she gets orders from many people and places. Hope they pleased you, so you can see and smell and feel Parry Island. I can see why you like them. Love, Mom. The second quill box of this donation is a primarily birch bark, with a red and white crisscross pattern along the sides, and a red maple leaf on the lid. Another item donated in memory of Rose Rice is a quill purse she made, decorated by a white flower with a red middle and green accent, surrounded by the medals sitting in the middle of the purse. A white jagged border is around the purse's base with a bow on top. Barbara Beecroft donated this collection on behalf of the Park family, which includes quill work made by Shawniga First Nation Reserve artists. The Park family were residents of Pittsburgh who traveled to their cottage every summer on the north coast of Tonches Island. The donor's great-grandfather first began cottaging there around 1910, and he likely traveled to Point Barrow by train from Toronto. The donor recalls being at the cottage in the late 1930s and seeing canoes with 4 men and 2 women from Shawniga paddling the area and visiting cottages along their route to sell goods, such as blueberries and quill work. This small quill box is decorated with the image of a brown and white hummingbird with a distinct red eye. Wissahickon First Nation artist Jane Pegamagabo in March 1994 made this item. These items were donated on behalf of Betty Collison. The artist, Louise York, had gifted them to Alice Collison roughly 70 years ago. Alice and Louise were neighbors and lived on Nobel Road. The items were passed down through the family to Betty. Another important cultural tradition is basket weaving, as both an everyday tool and a creative expression. Resources from local plants and trees were used for weaving, and after the materials were harvested, they would be soaked in hot water to soften them before being peeled and stripped to create thread or weaving strips. Roots were often used for sewing thread, while tree bark and sweetgrass were used for weaving. Different baskets had different uses. For example, birch bark baskets collected sap and water, while black ash baskets were typically used for storage, artisan goods, and trading. Mr. and Mrs. Manitowaba of Wasauksing Island Reserve gave the split ash basket to Edith McPhee of Hagerman Township in about 1927 in exchange for a night's meals and lodging. The Manitowabas had been walking the Great North Road, now Highway 124, selling their baskets. The following baskets and quill boxes were collected by Tom Thompson. Most of the collection was obtained from Manitoulin Island and Shawniga Reserve. This collection of photographs was taken by Doris Muckenheim, and they include images of quillworks, boxes, and baskets made by Dolores Cosry and Priscilla Pegamagabo from Wasauksing, previously Perry Island, in the summer of 1997. We hope you've enjoyed this brief glimpse into the history of quill boxes and basket weaving. If you'd like to learn more about the history of the West Perry Sound District, please make sure to like and subscribe to stay tuned on all our new videos.